Namaste yogis, Veronique here with our half moon tutorial. I'll show you our traditional half moon pose, some ways to modify, some ways to add on, explore, and then a little bit of a transition focus. So join me on your mat. If you have a block or something that replicates this shape, that would be really ideal so that you can help to find that alignment in this shape. So joining me on your mat or just in your space, you actually don't even need a mat at all. So it's a nice open hip shape, it's a nice open shoulder shape, and I'll show you some common misalignments as well, so you can start to really feel maybe any habitual alignment, things that you may find that you're doing in class, and maybe find some ways to explore a little bit of support in this shape as well. So we'll start with the right side. I like to find the block on the highest height directly under the shoulder, and starting here. So just like in our Warrior 3 pose, I do like to recommend tenting on the finger pads depending on the length of your limbs. You'll want to set yourself up so that you're stacking your bones in a way that are in alignment, so one on top of the other. So right away, seeing that all 5 of your right toes are facing forward, tenting on the right finger pads, and then from here, see that your hips are opening and your shoulders are opening. So maybe you start here. You can have just your left big toe on the ground, or maybe you start to float the left big toe a little bit, or maybe all of the way. So you're building this nice open shape. The hips are open, the shoulders are open. You can keep the left hand at your waist, or if it's available, start to extend the left fingertips towards the sky. For more stability, your gaze is down. Maybe you're gazing to the horizon. Maybe you're gazing to the top thumb. And then you can slowly lower yourself down. So I'll offer ways to use the wall with this shape with the second side. If you want to align yourself with a wall, it's a really great way to find it either with your back against the wall. I'll show a different kind of variation. So for a lot of you, you would do the same thing, but your back would be against the wall, and that will really help encourage you to open the hips, open the shoulders. Once you feel confident there, so building yourself in that same base, this time maybe you bring that elevated foot to the wall. It's a really great way to anchor the elevated leg so that all 5 of those elevated toes are pointing directly to the side, and that will really help showcase that the hips are nice and open. Once again, you can tent on your left finger pads, and perhaps if you feel like you have that strong stance here, you can start to float your left hand to half prayer, maybe extending that right arm towards the sky. Sometimes it's nice, maybe you just bring that left hand to the thigh for more traction. You can play with perhaps finding a half bind, so really encouraging the shoulders to open, and then perhaps you start to extend that left arm forward. So finding an arm variation that resonates for you. And then gently lower. So we'll work into our Tripassana variation of half moon pose. So certainly if you feel like you're at your edge at one of those variations, stay. If you've been taking half moon for some time and you're looking for ways to perhaps advance the shape for your practice, you do. So starting in the same way, finding the block underneath the shoulder. So there's a couple schools of thought. I've been told that for Tripassana you want to reach the foot from here. Sometimes it's more accessible to draw the knee in and then find the foot. So I don't know that one is necessarily wrong per se. You can sort of feel out your flexibility playing with the shape. If you're not sure about your flexibility, sometimes it's nice to find the Chapasana with one knee down, so you can play with it from here. And once you know you have the bind, then you can add the balance, bringing one foot down and then finding the foot. The key, like all of our binds, if it's straining the shape, if you're sort of reaching for it and you're sort of furrowing the brow and your breath is labored, it's a really good indication to back out of it. So only finding the deeper variation if it helps you open up more. And so that's the key to a lot of the binds, if not all of the binds, finding a place where you can get a little bit deeper, finding the opening. So once you're steady here, I recommend shifting your gaze down. Maybe you just have a couple fingers on your block. And I do recommend coming into Chapasana, that full variation, with one hand on the block, because right away, as you can see, my shoulders are at the height of the hips. If I'm trying to come into the bind with my hand on the ground, I have a lot more work to do to then lift up and then find the foot. So just showing you from the other side, you'll have your hand on the block, you'll find the bind. The key with all of our balances is finding your point of focus, your drishti, steadying the breath, maybe start to get light on the left hand, and then maybe you reach for the foot with both hands. And you're continually spiraling the heart open, spiraling the hips open, and breathing. And then gently releasing out. So if you fall out of it, come back in, always coming back and trying to build the shape steadily. So if you are building to Chapasana, for example, if you fall out at sort of the deepest edge of your shape, try not to pick back up exactly where you left off. So really sort of come back in, really slowly, gracefully come back into the shape. So I'll just show a way to flow into the shape as a way to play in your practice. So we'll start from extended side angle because the shoulders and the hips are in the openness quality that we are wanting for our half moon pose. And actually take it a shorter stance so you have a little bit more grounding in that front leg. So extended side angle, fingertips on the block, maybe forearm to thigh, and you're opening up the heart, you're opening the shoulders, you're opening the hips. And so we'll transition this really slowly, really methodically. First bringing your left hand to your waist. Really commit to keeping the hips and the shoulders open. Just shift your gaze down, pick up your block, and bring it in front of the right foot or the front foot. That block is at a diagonal from that front pinky, and then start to shift the weight into the right foot. You're just on the big toe of the back foot. From here, very slowly floating up, express your half moon pose as you wish. Maybe you're traveling with the wall behind you for more stability. Spending 3 to 5 breaths here. And then slow bend into that front leg. We'll land back into our extended side angle. And then rising up. So then taking it on the other side. So I hope that tutorial was helpful. Please feel free to try that at home, and then you can play with it in class. I hope you have fun with your half moon pose. Namaste.